President Biden announcing new sanctions on 8 members of the Russian elite and their families. This is the latest attempt to try and squeeze Vladimir Putin as the Russian invasion of Ukraine intensifies. Robert Frank joins us now with more. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Becky. Well, the White House announcing blocking sanctions on 8 wealthy Russians and their families and visa restrictions on another 18 Russian oligarchs and 47 family members. The most prominent person on the new list is Alisher Usmanov. He's got a net worth of around $20 billion. He's got stakes in steel, media, and internet companies. His yacht and his private plane, that's an Airbus A340, the largest private plane in Russia. Those will be barred from entering the U.S. Meanwhile, Roman Abramovich has not been sanctioned, but he's putting his British soccer team, Chelsea FC, up for sale for about $4 billion. He said the sale proceeds will go to a foundation benefiting all victims of the war in Ukraine. He's also selling his London properties, including the mansion near Kensington Palace that he bought for over $100 million back in 2009. French officials seizing a yacht they said is owned by Igor Sechin. He's a billionaire under sanction. They seized the 280-foot yacht after learning it was, quote, making arrangements to sail urgently. But the company managing the ship denied that Sechin is the direct owner. The White House saying Germany seized Usmanov's boat earlier this week, but German officials denied it. This yacht is registered in the Cayman Islands, owned by a shell company. And Becky, that's going to be the issue here. These guys have been planning for this for years. Almost everything they own is through a shell company or an anonymous LLC, and it's going to be difficult to legally prove that A, they are the owners, and B, that it can be seized. So there's going to be a lot of legal battles here even after they seize this real estate and these boats.
Hey, Robert, you know, we had Mnuchin on yesterday, and he said he was advocating for more sanctions. In the aftermath of that interview, there were a number of critics, if you will, perhaps of the Trump administration, that said you want more sanctions now, but, you know, you lifted sanctions on people like Deripaska back in 2019. Do you see any connection between those two? Because the more I think about it, the more I think actually that sanctioning them back then would have had no impact, I would think. But maybe I'm wrong on what's happened now.
Well, you're right about Oleg Deripaska. So what happened is the Treasury Department stunned a lot of people in Congress by lifting sanctions on Deripaska's companies, saying they were satisfied he was no longer connected. Well, it turns out he is still connected to those companies. So that was clearly a mistake. But the 2014 sanctions, which even predated that, did not work either. And the reason was because these Russians, they simply transferred their assets to their relatives. And the second reason they didn't work is because there was the assumption that they would then put pressure on Putin to change his policies, and it just doesn't work that way in Russia. So I think they've learned their lessons. They don't expect these guys will put pressure on Putin, and they also are hoping to include their families this time of the oligarchs so that they can't more easily transfer assets. So we'll see whether it works better this time.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.